Good day, everyone. Meteorologist Mark Muller here. How's everybody getting along on this nice long weekend? Guess what we got going on here? Yes, we have Bonnie that's crossed completely successfully into the Pacific while maintaining her name. Bonnie, will it be a coastal hugger? Will it cause effects to the rest of Central America and the Mexican coast up to the resort towns? Or will this be out to sea? We'll break that all down for you. And if that weren't enough, guess what we got? We got Tropical Storm Colin off the Carolinas. It's actually in the Carolinas. We'll see what effects that will have on the U.S. East Coast going forward. Will this strengthen once it gets out over open water again? And what will its impacts be? We also tracking a tropical wave in the Lesser Antilles south of Puerto Rico heading to the northwest. We'll see what happens with that in the intertropical convergence zone. And if that weren't enough, we are tracking severe weather across parts of the Northeast for your Saturday, especially later Saturday in the Mid-Atlantic and to New England. We'll get into all the details. All right, so taking a look at Bonnie here. Here is the intensity and the track. So we're going to get up towards 45 miles per hour, 65 miles per hour by later in the day on Sunday. And look at this, 80 mile per hour hurricane by Monday afternoon, when this will be paralleling the coast when it really matters, up to 100 to 105 mile per hour winds by next Wednesday and Thursday. So as this passes south of Acapulco up to Puerto Vallarta, should definitely see the system stay off the coast, but keep in mind there will be some intense wave action and feeder bands to the north here. All right, and taking a look at Colin, our third named tropical storm in the Atlantic Basin, definitely looking pretty interesting here. It is moving just inland. That is the interesting part about this system. But most of the showers and thunderstorms are south and east of the actual center of circulation. There is a front up here that is going to be shearing this apart and absorbing this system come later Sunday and into Monday. So that's why the system doesn't last, longer than that. By the time it's up in here, it'll be part of the front zooming on to the northeast. So taking a look at the tropics here is Colin. It's interesting to note Colin, most of the thunderstorm activity is out over the open waters instead of the Carolinas. But we're also dealing with Bonnie here. Bonnie's looking pretty healthy, has really good go at it here in the eastern Pacific. And you can see here's that tropical wave, south of Puerto Rico. It's going to bring some beneficial rains. The core of the heaviest rains is going to head just south of Puerto Rico, though, towards Hispaniola. And then after this, once it gets through Hispaniola, wind shear is going to take over. And we are watching another weak tropical wave out here off the coast of Africa. So here as we go, take a look at Tropical Storm Colin here. It's the core is literally right on, if not just slightly inland. You see most of the thunderstorm activity, though, is to the southeast. There's a lot of wind shear up here just to the north with this front. And it's going to get sheared apart once it moves, up along and just inland just like this. And once it exits, it's literally going to get sheared and absorbed into this frontal boundary. So here is Bonnie. Look at this. Very healthy. There's even convection way up here, but the biggest convection is right down here, right around the center of circulation, just coming off the coast. You can see of Costa Rica and Nicaragua looking very healthy. So this system's really going to get cranking. There's that system behind it, just south of Puerto Rico, but I don't think at this point it has any chance of development. One thing I wanted to note here, there is some dry air out ahead of this tropical wave here south of Puerto Rico, so it will be ingesting some dry air as well. You can see there's some sort of upper level low here just south of Cuba that's showing up really nicely on the water vapor loop here. I don't think this has any chance of development. There's a lot of dry air west of it, but Bonnie at this point, definitely good chance of continuing this. It's interesting, there's a little feature out ahead of Bonnie here as well. And as you take a look at the water vapor loop here across the Carolinas, there's some dry air just inland too that's being ingested by Colin. And look at how fast the upper flow is here. This wind shear is just going to do a number on this system. All right, so as we get into the eastern Pacific, the good old GFS here, taking Bonnie right along the coast initially here, looking pretty good, pretty healthy. Look at this into your Monday, July 4th, hugging the Mexican coast. So there's going to be some effects once it gets away from the coastline of El Salvador as well. Heading into, it's going to literally parallel the coast here. And it may cause some problems here along these resort towns, Acapulco, heading northwestward towards Puerto Vallarta. There may be some outer feeder bands, feeding it. There's obviously going to be some very high waves in excess of 5 or 10 feet. So that's pretty prevalent here. It's going to be battering the southern coastline of Mexico. Now, I don't think there's going to be a landfall. You can see heavy rains, piling up along the south coast. It's actually helped feeding some of this monsoon a little bit. You'll see it start to pop up here towards the north and in northern Mexico and the southwestern United States. You see with the daytime heating there, It's feeding this monsoon, and you can see it's staying off the coast. Even the GFS, which was much closer to the coast, you can see it this is Wednesday morning, just south of Puerto Vallarta here. You can see it's it's a hurricane for sure, generating a lot of swells. So you're going to want to keep an eye at those beaches. Definitely might not want to go out in the water too far, because look at this. Still showers and thunderstorms along the coast. This isn't a early Thursday morning, and then finally starting to lose its influence. So still, with this tropical wave feeding the monsoon. So, but by this point, this is Friday, early Friday morning, July 8th. The system is heading safely out to sea here. You can see the GFS. That's a big change from a couple days ago. And then look at that. Another system forming behind it here. So that is an interesting trend to be had here. All right, so taking a look at the euro here. Let's take a look and see. Exiting the Central American coastline, heading just south of El Salvador areas. Take a look at this. It is hugging the coast a little bit less than the GFS here. As you can see, we get towards the Mexican coast July 4th. This is right around sunrise. So we're getting some of those outer feeder bands. Definitely going to have some intense wave action along the coast, but it's a little bit less prevalent than the GFS. You still see the moisture. It's going to help feed this monsoon here into western, southern Mexico, up into the desert southwest to the United States. And you can see it is about a day ahead of the GFS here. This is Tuesday, afternoon. It's just south of Puerto Vallarta, so this should keep some of the worst effects south of the city. So you're still going to have a lot of wave action coming from the south here. So just keep that in mind. But a lot of the intense banding action with those outer feeder bands should stay to the south, and it takes this comfortably out to sea. All right, so if we take the rest of the Saturday evening here with the model's future radar of Colin, you can see the center of circulation literally just southwest of Wilmington here. So as we put this in time, let's take a look here. We'll get a good idea of where this storm's heading. You can see the heaviest stays right off the coast. You see those tropical storm warnings here. They're in the yellow from the Outer Banks down here towards the South Carolina coast. So a lot of feeder bands trying to feed in just to the northeast here of Wilmington. This is 3 a.m. A lot of moisture staying just off the coast here. So as we continue in time here, this is 6 a.m. You can see that giant feeder band tries to feed into the Outer Banks here, but is not so successful. We'll definitely still have those stiff winds here off of the coastline here. Take a look at this. So, yeah. This up here is the front. So this is going to be combining forces with the front, as we go in time here. Midnight, Saturday night. So, as we head throughout the night, look at that. Into late tomorrow. This is tomorrow afternoon. So these thunderstorms here associated are not with Colin by this point. This is the actual front. And you can see Colin right here, just exiting the coastline. This is where Colin will start to get absorbed by this frontal boundary here. So as we go in time, you can see Colin literally by 1 a.m., 4th of July morning here. It's right up here, but you could barely tell because it's being absorbed pretty much by this front. So here we go. If we look at the intensity scale of Bonnie, definitely staying a tropical storm, heading up towards Category 1. Would not be surprised if we get this to a Category 2. One of the hurricane models has taken this all the way up to a 4, which, is possible, but I'm thinking more likely Category 2 at this point. Maybe borderline Category 3. We'll take a look at this in time, see, how it interacts with the coast of Mexico and whatnot, and see if we can get it into some warmer waters here. Taking a look at the intensity scale of Colin, it will maintain tropical storm through about Sunday night. Monday, it starts coming back down towards tropical depression, and, wind shear is going to be a big aspect to this. It'll probably be sheared apart as it gets absorbed into this front. All right, so if we take a look at here, big high pressure here across the Atlantic, keeping everything moving towards a west-northwesterly fashion here. The good news here is the fact that Colin will be pretty much, being embedded and flown right up between this front in this high pressure system. You can see in time here, this system here south of Puerto Rico, watch what happens to it. Here's Bonnie over here. So as we go in time here, you can see That system, it does bring some pretty decent rainfall here to Hispaniola and Puerto Rico. The heaviest, though, is going to fall in a core just south of Puerto Rico. But you see, we head in time here. This is Saturday, the rest of Saturday here. We have some, storminess here along the East Coast with Colin. And we head through time. This is early Monday. You can see this system pretty much getting sheared apart. There's a lot of vertical wind shear in the mid-levels here that's just going to shear the system. And look at this. You can't even make out Colin anymore by this point. It is completely absorbed into this frontal boundary that's being flung up to the northwest and northeast of these high-pressure systems. And you can see as we head into Tuesday, completely absorbed. You can't even see it anymore. What's left of that tropical wave will bring some moisture up here into the North Gulf Coast and into parts of Florida. And look at the intertropical convergence zone out here becoming an explosive. This just looks more like later August than going into July here. So look at this storminess along the East Coast. There's Bonnie out there. High pressure slowly retreating to the northeast here. So let's take a look at rainfall amounts out of this tropical wave here into the Caribbean. So this is pretty interesting. Some of these south and east facing beaches in Puerto Rico. This is in millimeters, upwards of 100 to 150 millimeters of rain. That's roughly 4 to 6 inches of rain. And look at that. That could do a number on Hispaniola here, where we get upwards of 6, 7 inches in some of these higher terrain. There could be some mudslides. It's very unfortunate because you have a lot of problems as the heavy rain here moves to the northwest, but not really getting expected any further to the north or west as that system gets sheared apart. All right, so let's take a look at those rainfall rates in inches here off the Carolina coast. So as we head throughout, the average is, 1.5 inches, 2 inches here. Most of the heavy 4 to 6 inches stays off the coast up and through parts of off the mid-Atlantic where we get some of those, heavy gully washers. But it's interesting to note up here into the northeast as we head through the rest of Saturday, you're going to be averaging about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch out of some of these thunderstorms with locally higher amounts. Look at this south of New York City, south of Long Island. You could get upwards of those amounts, 1.5 inches, 2 inches. So some of these heavier gully washers you can see right around Baltimore here definitely could see 1 to 2 inches out of some of these heavier showers and thunderstorms. All right, so taking a look at Joe Drehos's video sent in on July 1st, between, right around that evening time frame, those thunderstorms moved in and wow, lighting up the skies. There were some warnings out with some of these thunderstorms as well. You can see, take a look at, you can see the humidity in the air, that storm moving in, that cloud deck behind it there. And continuing with his footage, take a look at that lightning. It was cloud to ground lightning, obviously way off in the distance. Let's actually show that again. Look at that intense lightning as the storms were just to the north of Johnson City, New York at this time. Nice captures, Joe. All right, severe weather across the Northeast for your Saturday. Definitely looking right in this corridor from Boston down to Washington, D.C., and a little bit to the southwest here. So New York City, Philadelphia, Harrisburg, the lower Hudson Valley, southeastern and southern New England. Definitely getting on the act. Damaging wind, large hail, isolated tornado potential. And here in the Dakotas and into eastern Montana as well. Definitely looking for that prospect. Here, tornado threat isn't that excessively high. It's less than 2%, but definitely still need to watch out for that. Hail is most prevalent here in the Northeast and the Northern Plains. And the wind threat you can see here across the Northeast as well as the Northern Plains. We get into your Sunday. Look at this, an enhanced risk here in southeastern Montana. The risk here back east, it falls southward across the Carolinas with Colin and the frontal boundary absorbing Colin, and still here in the northern Dakotas and Nebraska as well. As we get into day 3, definitely sticking with that threat here across the Dakotas into the northern plains. And day 4, day 5, day 6, definitely looking too low. All right, so if we take a look at what we have going on here with the mesoscale models for your Saturday afternoon, starting around 4 p.m. here, you can see what's happening here is we have this vigorous front, and we had some thunderstorms push through the Binghamton area, Albany area, this morning into early afternoon, and we're going to continue to see these storms blossom. You can see the southern Catskills, Hudson Valley, this is right around 4 p.m. Also out on Long Island, some big cells, and look at this, east of Harrisburg, down in through parts just west of Baltimore and Washington, D.C. We're going to be seeing the prospect here for some strong thunderstorms, and as we continue on through 5 p.m., there it is, 6 p.m., Still a lone cell up there towards Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. We'll continue to have, until this front moves through. It's like right up in this region. Let's get rid of that. There we go. So the biggest threat of severe thunderstorms will continue to lie in this region here. So pretty much from Harrisonburg all the way up through Washington, Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York City, Harrisburg, all the way up to Boston, Providence, Hartford, Long Island. Some of these storms, this is 7 p.m. Let's take closer here to 8 p.m. Yeah, some of these storms, even down towards South Jersey here, we're going to have to watch some of these. Some of these, we could have some isolated tornadoes as well. So we're going to have to watch this as we continue to go through the evening, Saturday evening here. Thankfully, this is not 4th of July itself, but it is the 4th of July weekend. So if you have any outdoor plans, might want to keep an eye to the sky, keep the NOAA weather radio, keep the phone on hand, watch the radar, so to speak. But look at this. You can see by 3, 4 a.m. Sunday morning, most of this is pretty much off the coast at this point. The front pushing through. We still have some residual behind it. You can see the clouds in this portion still trying to be scoured out here, but let's head on into the day on Sunday here. So let's kind of zoom out a bit. There's Colin down there. But yeah, as we continue throughout the day on Sunday, well, let's take a look here. So we're going to head off 9 a.m. We still have some problems here around southern New Jersey. You can see some lone cells, Washington, D.C., just off the coast of Nantucket here. Maybe a few stray showers in New York City, Long Island as well. Got to scour these out first before you can get a nice day. But look at that. Having a little bit of a hard time clearing South Jersey here in Delmarva because we have the influence of Colin down here now. So as Colin moves up, it's going to be absorbed by this front. But you can see we're still dealing with showers and thunderstorms just off the coast. So that might keep a pretty cloudy day up towards New York City and Long Island, up towards Providence and Cape Cod. So it might not be the nice sunny day you're looking for 4th of July. But look at this. We do start to clear it out by 2, 3, 4. Look at that. The clouds start to move away. So we'll start to progress this to the east. You can see. And finally, we might be able to salvage a pretty good day here across even these areas of the Mid-Atlantic. So let's see. We head on through the night into Monday morning, 4th of July itself. Look at this. You can't ask for a much better day. The only problem we might have here is across northern upstate New York towards Watertown, Saranac Lake. We got this disturbance in southern Ontario, and that's going to promote some clouds and some showers developing throughout the day. You can see here. Let's zoom in. So as we continue to go through the model here, future radar, you can see for the most part, this is 8 p.m. right before most fireworks would be going off. It's actually going to be pretty nice here across the Northeast. So get out there and enjoy. The only problems I see across the nation, as you can see, we might have some problems out towards Chicago for firework viewing. Look at this out towards Minnesota, northern Minnesota as well. Look at that in Montana. And we have the Intermountain West out here into Denver area. And parts of the southeast here will still be dealing with some gully washers as well. But a lot of areas looking nice for the fireworks display. Upper Susquehanna River Valley, Binghamton to Scranton. Look at this. Saturday, those showers and thunderstorms moving out of the Binghamton area between 2 and 4 p.m. On their way to Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, southward towards then. Some of these storms could contain strong gusty winds and hail, so watch out for that, vivid lightning. And then we clear it out for the rest of the day. Into Sunday, we salvage a nice day, 81 into 85 for your 4th of July. Look at those nice sleeping weather temperatures in the low to mid-50s as well. Tuesday, we have showers and thunderstorms likely with the next front that will be approaching from the west. You see by Wednesday, we clear it out with a stray shower or thunderstorm up towards 81 degrees. As always, I want to thank you for joining me for this edition of Weather Eastern. Don't forget to visit my Hurricane 2022 Outlook in the link description down below. As always, social media pages, I have many of them. Meteor Mark on Facebook, also Weather Northeastern, also Hurricane Northeastern, also for my localized weather viewers, Susquehanna Weather. Also Twitter at Weather Eastern, MeteorMark.com, WeatherNortheastern.com. Don't forget, question or comment down below. I'd love to read your questions or comments. Let's get the weather conversation rolling. Smash that like button, share the video, subscribe, and smash that bell button.